All right. Just shared it. Guys, do you have access to your phone? Yeah, so check the documents that Roman shared. Let's make sure that everybody gets access to it.
Fall in love with the game.
Yeah. Did you open the document? So, Juan, do you mind just sit down any closer? You know how on the pictures usually the shortest people go first. You can go. You can go here. You can. So pretty much, folks. Before I start, is there any questions from those who were here last week? So currently in competitive department, we have officially listed 5 coaches. And whenever those 5 coaches are coming to coaching meeting, they will be compensated. So some of them who are not here, they're not going to be compensated even though they're in a coaching meeting, even though they're in a competitive department. That's the first thing. Second thing, starting from this week, I'm hoping to schedule 30 minutes meeting with you and 30 minutes meeting with you. Do you know if Jose is coming today? Yes, guys, if you ever want a meeting, just let me know. But I have mandatory meetings with coaches who work with pre-competitive and competitive. So if you just want a meeting, just let me know. It's not going to be every week, but I can make one. I can make room. You good? You ready? Yes. So it's a long document, and this document is the pathway and the way we're seeing the development in the kids at SATC. I'll go through this partially on U14, U16, U18. We're not going to stop for long. We do not have really athletes that we were able to build so far, given the fact that it's a new facility. We do have athletes at U16 and U18, but these athletes are the ones who haven't got from a green ball stage. Like we haven't got them from the green ball stage. So they're missing a lot of fundamental stuff. So I'm primarily going to speak about U10, U12. So the first one, if you could see, like every single age group has like five priorities. And the reason why I'm putting it this way, because we're all tennis coaches. Tennis coaching is an art. So you can choose whatever approach you think is the best for the particular student. But if you're responsible for a student in a private session, by the end of this age group, so let's say if it's a U10 player, by the end of U10, we're expecting this player to have those 5 checkpoints. Whatever you're going to give extra to this player, fantastic, but the bare minimum should be there. So U10, most of you work with U10. I think this is the first year where I do not work with U10. Last year I had some players. So number one thing and the most important thing, and that's why I believe the coaching is super difficult at U10, is we're supposed to make sure that kids fall in love with tennis. And that's a very hard part, but this is the part that Juan and Sadi have been so far nailing, because those kids that came from a green ball, which is like a Roran, Michelle, Nimisha, I wouldn't say they're obsessed with tennis, but you could see a lot of little signs that they really love spending time on court. They love to play. You very often see them running around the facility with the rackets looking for an open court, and this is the reality. This is where we're trying to get kids. We do not want kids to be like, I came to practice and the moment practice is over, I'm on my phone and I'm in the car and I'm going home. We want them to spend time in the gym. We want them to look for a free court. We want them to be involved. We want them to always be here, always be watching and stuff. Second one, you should prioritize making every ball in, running for everything, and learning to enjoy staying in the competition. We should be fine with pushers and moon bowlers at this age. They're excellent material to work with. It's a must-be stage for player development. This is an extremely controversial thing for so many coaches, as I know a lot of different philosophies. So far, the only philosophy and the only way that I've seen working on 90% of the occasions are the kids who are appreciating the consistency and at all costs, they're making the ball in. So before teaching those technical fundamentals, teaching them how to accelerate the ball, teaching them how to hit the ball deep, wide, make sure that they really understand that this is the game of errors. And if you make your opponent miss, that's as good of an accomplishment as you're hitting a winner, right? And in that age, it's super important to get them comfortable playing the point. They should not rush. They should be staying, playing 5, 10, 15 balls. Their mind should be absolutely normal. Normally, comprehending the idea is that like I'm staying in the point and I'm fine with it. I don't have to go to the net. I don't have to make a drop shot. So later on, as you're going to see in the stages, there's going to be a period of time where we have to start learning how to accelerate the racket and do pretty much the same thing with a faster racket head speed. And only then as a third progression, we're going to learn how to make the ball do different stuff like increasing pace, increasing spin, moving the ball into different direction. And overall, if you want to take the major philosophy, and this is the way I'm explaining it to all students, number one thing, we're making the ball in. Number two thing, we're making the ball in with racket head speed, or by other words, swinging, to make a swing, not make a push, not make a guide. We're swinging, and that's a progression. Everything we're looking at in the development is a progression. First, they're making the ball in somehow. Then we're learning how to make it in with racket head speed. And then later on, when you will see that when they're making the ball in with racket head speed, they already have qualities like top spin and pace. And everything you have left is to teach them how to bring the ball higher or lower and how to control the racket face at the impact. And you already have the third progression where you can make the ball in with quality. Quality, what by quality we means one of the ball qualities, which is like direction, distance, pace, or speed, height, and spin. I'm not sure if I name all five. So I'll stop over there. So that's an extremely important one. You do not have to, as a U10 coaches, you do not have to get into their head. You must volley. You must drop shot. You must finish with a winner. You must know. You must make the ball in and sacrifice everything to make the ball in. That's the material that we want to work with later on. Third one, learn on the fundamental level, serve, slice, top spin, volley, high ball, low ball, deeper, shorter, faster, slower, intro to ball controls. Which is, in the simple words, teach them that the different racket path leads into a different outcomes. I swing the racket up, ball goes up, swing the racket through, ball goes straight, swing the racket down, ball goes down. Very, very simple. Making a friction with the string this way, it goes back spin. Making a friction with the string that way, it goes top spin. They do not have to nail it. At U10, just intro at the basics, fundamental levels. And not sure I wrote it down specifically for private sessions, but on the private sessions, always leave time for skill development. U10 is not the time where you go and you spend 40 minutes of the lesson on the serve. Or you spend like more than half of the lesson on hitting a forehand. 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, like skill development. Okay, let's learn on the forehand today how to lift the ball up. Awesome. Let's do it on the backhand. Awesome. Let's have a little bit like volley, like just hit the ball off the air. You're doing it. Awesome. Going ahead, on my experience, the easiest way to teach people volleys, to teach kids volleys and actually rec players volleys, is to actually explain them slice first. Explaining them how to slice in a simple way, and then say, okay, now we're doing slice of the ear. And Over there, they're like, oh, okay, awesome, like slice of the ear. Then if you need to shorten take back, you can move on. Just a little tip if you want to know how I found it was extremely effective for almost all the kids. It's just like you learn it of the ground first, learning as a slice, and then you say, well, volley is the slice of the ear. Drive volley or swing volley is the top spin of the ear. Overhead is the serve that you're inside the court. So like those simple analogies. The fourth one, footwork and mental fundamentals. So at U10, I wrote down for footwork, bouncy fit, split step. That's a very, very minimum. In fact, all the U10 that we currently have are exceeding the expectations with the footwork, because I do know that Sadi and Juan already implementing. So I'm saying Sadi, Juan, I know you're also working on just your new ones. I know that they're in charge of it. They're implementing a lot of footwork standards into their sessions. So we're actually nailing this one so far. Are you aware of footwork standards that we have? Coaches. Have you ever heard like all 5? Like no? Yes, no? So there is 5 footwork standards. So you were on the practice today. I put 2 kids on the bench. No, today was only Vita, right? One kid on the bench for footwork standards, like 3 times a girl haven't maintained a certain standard. She's getting consequences for that. So here they are. That's a wide base maintenance. So we have, I don't like to say racket apart because kids are very short, and when they put the racket, it seems like they're staying like this. But let's say more than shoulder apart. And maintaining that wide base. We call this one wide base maintenance. What does it mean? Whenever kid has to go around the ball, instead of going like this, we much rather prefer them do like that, or making like some bounces. That's a personal preference of the coach. The idea is that we're maintaining the same width on the legs as we're moving around the ball. Wide base maintenance. New one, the 5th one, but I will connect it to wide base maintenance, is maintenance of the height. So we go, everybody has their full size. I'm 6'3". My tennis height is 5'10", approximately. I don't know, 5'6". I never measured that in fit, right? So I go wide base, I'm staying there. So same exact thing, same as the wide base. I'm maintaining the wide base and trying to maintain the same height over the ground. It is obvious that some balls are exceptions. Kids do not even say kids about the exceptions. They all figure it out themselves. Just like make it like black and white. This is how we play tennis. Like overhead, you play tennis. Forehand, you play tennis. It doesn't relevant to your size. I'm having a tennis height, same as Juan has his tennis height. It has nothing to do with how high you are over the net. It has something to do with activation of your muscles on your legs. Body control, balance, and so on. We have recovery. We're expecting kids hit the ball. The first thing they hit the ball, the diamond racket finished. Explosive, quick recovery to the center. And this is the standard where the girl was sitting 3 times for today, 2 times. We have setup. And that's an important one because this is the one that I do not believe we're doing great with the U10 yet. As kids haven't yet understood that the most simple way of hitting the ball is whenever you set and you're waiting for the ball to come. Whenever you're running to meet the ball, or you're running away to hit the ball, or you're running sideways and hitting the ball, that's already a progression. This is a more complicated thing that we have to do eventually because our opponent forcing us to. At the level of U10, it must be pretty straightforward for kids that I'm set, I have both feet on the ground, and as I hit, and as I swing, my feet are supposed to be staying on the same spot. If I have to run and hit at the same time, it means that I better be forced to, or I'm just lazy. Does that make sense? This one for you? Same thing when you're moving back. You can move back, but make sure that you have a little bit of time so you can step, set, and hit. It's very much related to the timing skills as well, because it's much easier for kids.
You mean both feet should be
Yeah, just like being set, feet on the ground. So if I'm let's say running and hitting forehand on the run sideways, usually it's gonna look like this. In between my steps, I'm making an impact. It is an actual thing. This is something that kids at U16, U14 starting to practice how to do it, being balanced, how to move forward, move and hit at the same time. This is a progression. Kids at U10 not supposed to know that. They're supposed to know how to time the ball when they're both feet on the ground. Which one I didn't call? Recovery setup, huh? Yes, the fifth one, intensity. Straightforward, intensity. Straightforward, same thing. So let's say just because Danny said so, the kid is staying like this, he is moving like that, he is getting set like this, right? So it's like, it seems like I'm doing stuff, but I'm missing the intensity, right? So this is where bouncy feet is coming from. Split step is a big one, yeah, like I'm staying, I'm receiving the ball. Let's say, oh, another thing, good thing for kids to check on the wide base is if after split step their feet needs to get wider, it means that base was not wide, right? If I'm wide and I'm making a split wider, I feel uncomfortable. So ideal split step that we do not spread our feet farther. Does that make sense? That's a big one because kids, I see that kids reacting on this one well. Because like, well, if you become any wider after split step, it means that you weren't maintaining wide base. Mental fundamentals, which are extremely connected to the second one, which I say about moonballers. Those kids who are playing this long extended rallies, like I can call you a couple names just because my background, I'm from Eastern Europe. All of those guys like Medvedev, Rublev, Zverev, those girls that we have, Ukrainian girls like Svitolina, Yastremska, not sure about Kostuk, she's from different region. All of those kids at U12, they're famous for being moonballers and pushers. Now they're the biggest ball strikers in the game. Well, arguably, but they're in top 10. So that makes a lot of things different in the heads of the coaches when they actually look at the general progression. It was like, it's tough to believe that Rublev ever pushed the ball, but the reality is that they're probably holding a record of how long the match lasted in one of the like Russian championships in between Medvedev and Rublev, when one didn't want to lose to each other, where the match lasted for hours. Don't quote me on this one. You can find it on YouTube. I think they said that they play over 4 hours match just because nobody wanted to lose to each other. And obviously at U10 or U12, the same. One of the biggest weapons is this high spinny ball. And that's the reality. You're teaching kids how to play extremely effective shot against their opponent. And if you're coming to a kid and say, oh no, this game style has no future, you're like, you're not gonna win like this in 2 years. Well, definitely, if you're not gonna progress from that. But as a fundamental at this age, this is what we're supposed to keep in mind. And again, that's developing this mental component that's impossible to develop when your rallies are like 2-3 balls short. For example, this being stubborn, like, no, I'm not gonna give this point up. No, I'm just gonna run for another one. Being stubborn. Second one, a very important one, is the stress resistant. Those kids who get used to play on the court for 4 hours compared to the kids who used to be on the court for 1 hour, and at 2 years of time have such a huge difference in the hours spent on the court during the tournament. Just think about it. Like, both kids play tournaments for 2 hours. One kid averages 1 hour on the court, another kid averages 4 hours on the court. They have 4 times more, the second group of kids has 4 times more experience just dealing with the stress of the tournament. I'm stressed, but I'm playing points. And I'm still in the game. My match does not finish like that. I'm not going and blowing out the matches like that. Goodbye. So yeah, mental fundamentals, never give up. Every ball is important. Stay positive.
Just saying, if you do a comparison of 4 hours to 2 hours, okay, so they can if they're stressed or they're tired, but they have so much, they have practiced so much, they will cope up with that.
Yeah, I just wanna like so specifically the stress on the court. Like we will speak about it later on, but the reality is that stress is always there. Same stress as experiencing Harper at the age of what, 7? She's 7, 8. Same exact stress I'm experiencing. Same exact stress experiencing Nadal when he's playing match. The difference between us, well, obviously is age, but the instruments we have to deal with the stress. And obviously, the more hours you spend dealing with the stress, the more you become comfortable with the stress. If you remember your first tournaments at probably U10, you are playing matches, your tummy might hurt because you're like a little bit too stressed. You might not want to eat. We have some kids who are playing Atlantics. They play for like a national spot, and then I get contact by parents. They didn't eat anything. Can you please convince them to eat? And I was like, I cannot do anything against the body. Just make sure he takes banana or she takes banana on the match, because when you play the match and the stress goes down, you actually will want to eat, right? So coming back to your question, yes. So this is what I mean. So like the longer you spend on a tournament, let's say I played semifinal by getting into semifinal with winning 2 matches that 1 hour long, and I played semifinal by winning 2 matches that 3 hour long. The difference on court time is 6 hours against 2. 6 hours I was dealing with the stress, learning how to fight, learning how to appreciate the ball in, compared to 2 hours. Extremely important thing to understand. Messages should be delivered. Building good physical habits, warm up and cool down, must be. I think again we're doing good on this one, because unfortunately those kids that are in competitive group, most of them, practice is over, parents are the same, parents are coming, taking them home, and you see only those kids who came from green balls that go, and couple exceptions, and the older ones, usually Roman students, they go in the gym, and you see them in the gym, right? So that's a habit. I warm up, I cool down. It's a part of the practice. 5th one, introduction to learning simple adjustments. We should introduce them to the idea of trying to avoid making the same mistake twice. That comes down to relationship of the kids with mistakes. It's also super important one. To not react on the mistake, it will be such a long journey. It's very, very hard. Better way, as of now, again, I forgot to remind that this is as of March 2025, March 17. Maybe in a year, we will find out that something works better, right? But as of now, what we have is, I kind of lost my thought, what I was talking about. Yes. So hit is missing ball to the net, and they had an immediate reaction after that. First of all, reaction should be, it's not okay to miss, but the reaction should be, the message should be delivered like, look, you missed to the net. Do you know how to adjust it? Do you know how to do something differently? Because if you made an error, that's not a problem. Problem if you made the same error again. So it means that you received the same ball and you're already running and you're thinking that it was a coincidence last time. So I'll just do the same thing and it's going to work. Unfortunately, that works sometimes, but we want kids to have this little quick like analysis, like I missed my forehand to the net. Why? Because at U10 we're not gonna speak about more topspin. Just like because my racket didn't swing from underneath the ball, it went like just down like this. Okay, so next time I hit, I make sure I exaggerate, so I hit 2 rackets above the net. If kid does that on their own at U10, awesome, you nailed the task. It doesn't have to be super complicated. I miss 2-3 serves in a row that goes above the net and the way out. What did you try? Well, I tried to hit it a little lower, it just didn't succeed. Fantastic, you nailed it, right? Maybe you do not have technical skills to do it, but just the way that you're thinking about, like, I made an error, it's not coincidence, I have to do something with it. This is the reaction. Error.
Make them say that, right?
Well, you have to teach them to think that way. Nobody's going to say like that. Well, depends on the family, but so far I haven't met anyone who's saying like that immediately. So far I see anger coming when mistakes are happening, right? And if you want to know the difference between pro athlete and those U10 kids, is that pro athlete will make an error, and most likely they're not going to do exact same error for the duration of the next 3 games, versus the kid is going to do this error and then going to do this error again and again and again, and potentially can do this error losing the match, doing just the same error, losing the entire match. If you see them doing just error, let's say it's a forehand, they miss one long, one wide, one low, one short, and you see that they're clearly trying to change something, fantastic. Praise them. Just like, well, didn't work, but what did you try to do? I tried to adjust that. Super important message, super important tool. If at U10 we can deliver it, and it sounds like do not make the same mistake twice, extremely important. Not yet we're expecting them to fix it on their own. What we're expecting is to react the right way. Does that make sense? I finished at U10. We're gonna speak the same about U12. I will just run through U14, U16 quicker. Any questions about U10? Is there something specific that caught you, like where you were like, I need to ask a question about this? U12. A lot of technical focus, deeper explanation of the ball controls and how to make it so your ball comes with quality without sacrificing the consistency. I spoke about it like as a progression. By the end of U12, ideally, the kid swings on every ball, right? So it's like there is no, like even there is a difference between kid is doing. Do we have any balls here, Roman? No balls. There is a huge difference between kid is playing high heavy ball like this, right? And kid is playing the same exact ball like this. There is a huge difference behind it. One is guiding, one is guiding, one is could be even pushing, and not exactly pushed, and more like guided the ball. Another one is striking the ball, right? It's a stroke. Why? Because the impact happens that like split a second is just like ball gun. Later on, they're gonna put more racket head speed into it, but this is already the beginning of the ball quality, right? So ideally at U12, and we have quite a few examples, fortunately, that at U12 kids are already comfortable swinging on forehand and backhand, and they're learning how to swing while they're lifting it up, while they're bringing it low, while they're hitting cross, while they're hitting line. That's a perfect scenario. Those kids exist. They're training in our facility, so that would be great. Start breaking down the tactics, mainly black and white tennis. So unfortunate Juan left. So that would be the only probably biggest contradiction from what I have with what Tennis Canada philosophy is. They're teaching a lot of perception decision-making training, which includes gray tennis, right? Do you understand what it means, gray tennis? It's just like you find like a zone where the decision of the kid is questionable, and you pounding balls down to the zone where kid has to make a quick decision based on some other stuff. Versus I believe that this is supposed to be happening not at U10, not at U12. It's supposed to be happening best case U14. If the kid is a little bit late with development, even at U16. Black and white tennis, like there's a lot of literature written. I would say Spanish school of tennis are the big on this one. There are rules. You play defense cross. You do not switch down the line when you are outside of the court. And so have you ever heard this kind of rules? Where it's like, when it's like, that's black and white. This is how it's supposed to be. And some people are claiming that just by following these rules, you already can get to top 200. Like I personally know these people. I personally know that they have players who went there, I would say this is extreme, but it's definitely a place to be. Why? Simply because it builds what we call a tactical discipline. That means that if I want to execute a certain ball, a certain thing's supposed to happen. I cannot just all of a sudden go and do drop shot. If I want to do drop shot, I know my coach teach me I have to be inside the court. My drop shot should be following my strong, powerful shot. So let's say I hit like forehand drive. I'm inside the court. My opponent is outside the court. I'm doing drop shot, black and white. Not like, oh, I felt like my opponent was off balance. No, 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 not yet. This is not what we're doing because kids are finding an excuse in it. I go to the net when I see that my opponent has an intention to lift the ball up. What does it mean? Well, kids usually call it like off balance, outside of the court, right? If I get my opponent to go and clearly like already chest open, reaching for the ball, lifting it up, going here, lifting it up, yes, it's a sign. It's a black and white. Not because, oh, I hit the ball 3/4 court and I feel like it went a little lower or a little faster or kills like this. It's like too complicated. Not yet, right? Black and white tennis.
When do you think it should be done then?
Ideally U14 we're starting that. I think in this one I wrote down U16 where we're actively going through the gray options, like actively. So it means that intro happening at U14. Just like, look, you remember Bob is used to play backhand. He doesn't really like to pass with the backhand topspin. He really likes to play lob. So specifically when you play against Bob, you're hitting to his backhand, you know that lob is coming, feel free to go to the net. Not because your ball is crazy good, it's just because you know when Bob sees you going to the net, he's going to give you the lob. Right? So those little intros should be happening at U14. Mental work. Tennis is a game of errors. Losing is a part of the process, and it's okay to experience stress on the court. We're playing through it or with it. So that's already intro to being a good competitor. If kids understand that tournament is a stressful environment, and instead of fighting it, which they will never win this battle, because as you can see, you're listening to the post-match interviews from athletes. It was like I was kind of nervous, I couldn't handle my nerves and stuff. Like if those players playing Grand Slams, winning Grand Slams, and speaking about not be able to handle nerves, should we really try to kill those nerves, or we immediately should try to learn how to control them or deal with them, or instruments how to deal with them, right? So answer this question. And usually kids are very receptive on this one. It is hard to explain to someone who never heard this idea at the age of 16. It is extremely hard to explain, but when the kids are U12, very, very easy. Very easy. And this is where kids are not, their parents are texting me, they're coming and they say like, Danny, you know, like I couldn't eat this morning. I couldn't eat, just like, so sure, what should I do? I was like, well, go ahead, have a little bit more extra, like a little bit extra footwork on the warm-up. Sorry, before you go on court, a little bit more like intensive footwork. As you go through the match, try to jump more. And like the tons of different instruments, but like the simple one is this. Like do not just say, oh, don't think about it. Don't think about elephants. Kids will start thinking about elephants.
So can you make an example like of like they can move more, right? They can be more active. Like,
Yeah, so this is
what else?
this is a classic one. At least this is what I remember from this very, very young age. When you're like stressed, like first of all, warm up, more intensity. The more you move, the better. The more you move, like those movements, blood circulation in your body apparently does something with hormones. Maybe it's releasing the stress hormone faster. Not sure exactly biochemistry that stays behind that, but the reality, like those kind of things, right? Like people are turning around and doing some like kangaroo jumps. Nadal standing up on the bench and like go like explosive, like showing that he's ready. Like breathing techniques, inhale, exhale, and other big stuff. We do necessarily teach kids to inhale, exhale. We do not teach them how to grunt. That's a huge difference, right? Some kids are grunting, and when it's during the group sessions, I'm just letting it be, simply because eventually they will understand that grunt is one of the competitive instruments, how it is easier to get into opponent's head. Opponent always feels your presence. But this is something that we learn later on. It is a must-be thing to learning to breathe. Inhale, exhale, and if you wanna teach them so it helps them with timing the ball, you can tell them the moment your racket drops underneath the ball, you're starting to exhale. So like, not yet, and exhale is spread it through the whole swing. So the moment racket starts to drop, up until the impact, you release the air. So it's like, and maximum release goes at the impact. So it starts earlier, goes at the impact. Why it is important is that helps a big time with timing. To time the ball in your striking zone, right? If it just, it's very hard. When it's like spread it, they're actually like connecting their breathing to the ball, like.
I was planning to teach this, getting this in their head from the events.
Grunting
No.
to get into the head. Ah, okay. You mean get into the head to the opponent, or the head and the kids? Because it's getting in the head of the recreational players around. They're very much complaining all the time to me about kids grunting, which is like, you should have no problem. First of all, do not let rec players speak to your kids, because they will explain it wrong, right? You can come to a kid and say like, look, I want you to exhale. But whenever there is a rec players around, we're public facility, we're not just high performance facility. So keep it for the tournament. Tournament, go ahead. Nobody should tell you a thing, right? You're just present. Some people complains like, oh, this kid is so loud, but they usually complains because this kid is the one that winning Atlantics and go to nationals all the time. And those who are complaining, guess what? Never made it to nationals. So it's they cannot put those things together. But anyways, mental work, tennis is a game of errors. So I spoke about it a little bit, right? Start to apply technical and tactical adjustment. Try to avoid the same mistake happening repetitively. So same mistake twice, but now it's starting to be connected not only to technique, it starts to be connected to tactics. As simple as that. I'm already like early enough understood that I'm extremely good with defending, right? But whenever I defend and my ball goes shorter than the service line to my opponent's forehand, I lose. So it doesn't mean that I have to look for a solution in a different game style. What it means that first thing I should try is to avoid making this tactical thing, like my defense should not go through my opponent's forehand, because this is what I'm getting punished for. Or it should not go short, like I don't know, just in general short. Or for example, my opponent goes to the net, I let him hit the ball, he finishes it like 5 out of 5. So it means that I need to adjust. It's a tactical adjustment. My opponent goes to net, I try to lob. Things like that. So from simple tactical adjustments, technical adjustments, right? Like swing a little bit higher. I mean, like racket face down, racket face up. Like we're trying, whatever we try to do it with this racket face, and manipulate the ball a different way to make the ball go different directions. So from technical adjustments, we move into tactical ones. Continue building good physical habits, warm up, cool down, stretching, and fitness sessions. Starting at the age of U12, we should deliver message into the head of our kids and to the head of the parents that fitness is a huge part of player development, because good tennis player is a good athlete. Pretty much I have nothing to add to that. If you're playing tennis daily, Ideally, we're going to do fitness daily. This is the answer to the question why we include the fitness, at least little fitness session to every group session we have. Ideally, we would not do that, but at this point, that's the only way to make sure that kids have this click into their head is like, okay, if I play tennis, I do fitness on a daily basis. By the way, it doesn't change on the tournament. I go on the tournament, if I'm fortunate to go to the tournament with a coach, which is we're sending coaches to most of the events. If kid had, I don't know, eventually we want kids to play only one category just because it will get competitive, but let's say a kid used to play 2-3 matches each day, and they played 2-3 matches on Thursday, 2-3 matches on Friday, and on Saturday they happen to play only one match. Go train, go do fitness to get this number of hours, average number of hours. Sunday you play. It is normal to do fitness sessions during the tournament, and the earlier they will understand it, the better. Obviously, different intensity, different volume, different length, but it's a must-be component. For now, we're just offering like 1 or 2 fitness sessions a week, but explaining them like separate fitness sessions, not included in the group sessions. It's like you're doing private, and then you're doing private with a fitness coach or semi-private with a fitness coach. U14, that's the last one that I'm gonna stop on speaking a lot about. Finish 90% of a technical and black and white tactical work, explaining that technique is a progression, but no longer a main focus by the end of U14. Intro to great tennis tactics. That's a huge one, and probably I would have even stopped on this one at U14. Finish 90% of the technical work. That means that at U14H, we expect kids to be able to do anything they potentially need to execute on the court. That means that they should know how rackets should manipulate the ball to do a certain thing. So it should not be a secret for them, like I'm gonna exaggerate it. It should not be a secret for them. I was like, go and feed me the, like, I don't know, go to the doubles alley and go play short top spin cross court. Should not be a secret for them how to do it, right? Get under the ball, get good amount of top spin, hit over the net, hit low over the net, because if you're gonna go high over the net, you're either gonna miss wide or long, or you will not have this effect of an angle, and so on and so forth. Even including stuff like that, there's like 3 different slices that people can hit. They can hit slice with like an outside spin, where like you're mainly reaching over here, and the slice has a little bit like of an outside spin. There could be a classic slice with the backspin, and there is a slice with the side spin the other way, right? It doesn't mean they have to know it perfectly, but they should know how to do it. So if you tell them like, show me like, do this ball. So they take 3 balls and they produce this ball. Same on kick serve, slice serve, any type of serve, any type of return. Those who, well, 1 second. Those who already were in our sessions, you know we're practicing drive return, return far next to the fence, block return, block with backspin, block with top spin, counter punches, all kinds of variety, build return, build through the heights, build through the depth. This is all like this variety of stuff that kids can do with the ball. It is absolutely possible, and those kids do exist, that will finish this work by the end of U14. What happens after? We progress. Let's say my kick serve quality right now is the ball bouncing to, I don't know, barely above the net. So at U16, we're already supposed to teach via a little bit better impact point, a little bit faster racket hit speed, a little bit better impact, and so on and so forth, that the ball goes from here to over there. We're increasing the quality by working with the extra little moments, which are like more unique, sometimes more individual. But by the age of U14, we're aiming to be done with technique on the first place. And in the first place goes tactical and mental development. and later on physical, but here's like tactical and mental. Yeah. Okay. You had a question.
Is the side spin slice usually when you're attacking down the line?
Usually it's whenever ball is far in front of you. You cannot execute the ball when you're staying sideways. So if I can execute the ball staying here, I can make a backspin. If I'm reaching for the ball in front, there's already some extra side movements and the string is going to happen. Usually here we do not hit in front. In front we usually hit this ball, the one that's low. And this is why you could see it a lot when people are moving to the net, like they have this low ball and you hit down the line. It actually works very well down the line, but this is not the original reason behind it. Same thing, try to hit backspin slice when the ball is coming to your body. You won't be able to. It will always be like some side spin on the ball because your racket just cannot move that way. I guess we'll have to stop on this one, so probably we'll break it down on two. Is there any questions regarding U12 so far? Any questions regarding in general this this stuff with U10 and U12? Juan, I really want you to watch the part that you missed because it was a very important part regarding black and white tennis, contrary to gray tennis. No questions? The, mainly we're starting put the main focus on tactics at U14. U12, a lot of technique. U12, also a lot of learning a different tactics, but there is no like a main thing on the tactics yet. Main thing starts on the tactics at U14 when the technique is about to be done, right? So and it kind of makes sense as a progression. They learn what to do with the ball, and now let's actually apply it into the how you can win with like that. If you will do this with the ball in that scenario, you can win more than if you're going to do this with the ball in that scenario, right? But before that, we need to learn how to do it with the ball. Good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.